do indies need publishers? Obviously, they do. It's just a really nuanced conversation of where do you need it and how and what each party can bring, because development is a lot of work and then publishing is a lot of work. And that's how you need to look at this.
Today, I'm joined by a studio founder and indie publisher who spent 2 decades on both sides of the table, building games, running teams, and now helping other developers ship and sell their games smarter.
People think that being a great publisher is like one gimmick to learn, and you're going to become a successful publisher. Oh, let's make a trailer, let's send it to IGN, see if they take it, and that's it.
We talked about why the indies don't need publishers narrative is misleading, how to actually decide if your team should self-publish, and why systems-heavy games may be one of the last real windows for small teams to win big this year.
We build the whole publishing on this thesis of what we call systems-driven games. It's games where fun emerges out of systems instead of out of content. In the intersection of these systems happens the gameplay, happens the magic, and happens the unique experience that players get.
From someone who's seen publishing fail from the inside and rebuilt the right way, this episode's guest, co-founder and CEO of Forklift Interactive, Andrei Podoprigora. Alrighty. Andrei, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hey, Harry.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. Good. It's a good day. Slightly chilly day in Barcelona. Overall, pretty good.
Nice. Hopefully it gets hot next week because I'm coming over. Can't wait.
I cannot promise February. They chose February. I don't know why they chose February. It's not the the chances are not that great, but I do hope it's going to be amazing.
I have faith. I'm going to bring the Cyprus weather. Nice. Andrei, really excited for today's combo. You commented on one of my most popular episodes by Dino where we talked about publishing, and you said, hey, love to join the show. I was like, let's do it. And here we are. And you just told me before our recording kind of why you feel like you have enough perspective to talk on this topic. So I'd love for you to tell the audience kind of why you felt compelled to come on the show and what did you want to talk about today?
Well, yeah. Well, thanks for Dino first to come to your podcast and bringing it to my attention. I think I've seen it before, but specifically because we've been friends with Dino for quite a while, I thought this is the one that I really need to watch, and I had a pleasure watching it. And like I said in the comments, I agreed with a lot of points, and then I also thought that maybe I can bring my own perspective. In my almost 20 years, not almost, I think it's been 20 years this year, in my career in the industry, I've been developer for actual developer coder for PlayStation, Windows, and mobile phones. I was running my own studio, development studio, for almost 10 years. And then I tried publishing. I had quite a run with Tiny Build for almost 5 years. Then I tried venture funding with the Games Fund, helping them find their footing in PC console investment field. And then I realized that publishing is actually my passion. I enjoy working with developers and helping them focus on development while we do all the other heavy lifting. And with that perspective, I think there's enough nuance in this whole conversation that we can talk about, because it's not as easy as do indies need publishers? It's obviously they do. It's just a really nuanced conversation of where do you need it and how and what each party can bring, because as I recently mentioned also in one of my LinkedIn posts, because I was sort of a little bit tired of this whole debate of indies don't need publishers, that actually say that it needs to be clear that development is a lot of work, and then publishing is a lot of work, and that's it. That's how you need to look at this. So yes, that's why I thought I want to jump in, and I guess it's also could be a good idea to open with my perspective that since I think the pandemic, this what we call a hangover of the industry, I think I can totally see that I believe we live in a great times, like a unique window of opportunity for indie devs, especially in the PC segment, PC and console, I would say. That is, I think many people maybe will take it for granted, and I'm actually really mindful of the fact that it's not I don't want to take it for granted. It's actually quite unique for many things. I think we're going to look back at these times the same way some of the early developers who catch the first wave of indie successes back in like 2010s, right? Some of these devs look back on those times and say, "Oh, they were great times where you can do anything and do it's going to be a success." Obviously, that was when the market was just beginning. But I think we're going to look at these times as well, and 2025, 2026, and over. Um, and I have the same idea. Oh, there were the amazing times where indies could do so much and win both creatively and commercially and actually matter more than anything. So that's, I guess, my sort of the way I look at things right now.
Beautiful. So I share your optimism. Mainly, I think by blood. Like I always try to be optimistic. There's always a reason to be happy, but not many people open with that part. They
Really,
usually open with it's the hardest it's ever
yeah,
been. If you're going to do it, focus on all these things. So, do you mind for the listeners? This is the indie dev, someone who's maybe in similar situation as you. They think the good old days are behind us.
right.
Why do you think now is a quote unquote great opportunity? Because I think your perspective, it might seem clear, but maybe some people are missing something.
I do believe this is really subjective. You can always there's this is why we have this half glass half full and half empty people always this never ending debate. And I cannot say that I'm always this like positive person, everything is great. It's been really shitty times, and I've seen so many studios close, and a lot of my friends had to either look for work or find pivot into something. Um, and part of that is actually, I think the extra drama here is because the pandemic was extra good for us all, right? There was abundance of money and opportunity, but that was actually a little bit crazy. And now, again, this is why we call it hangover, right? So that's why it's extra shitty. But I also believe that it is sort of what people can call like a market correction. You can also call it like getting back to more sensible times, more reasonable times when developers who choose the smarter way have a chance to win. Because even if you look at the most in the simplest way, like if you look at the money situation, right? It's not that there's no money in the market. Like there are publishers, there are funds, there are I'm not even talking about venture. There's now even there's a lot of new models like project funding, and there's a lot of opportunities for teams to find the way to find the fuel to create games. I think it's more even more diverse and more possible to find them. But these money and the people who try and invest are now becoming much more careful with that, which might seem like a sucks they didn't pick our game, but maybe the reason for this, maybe they're just stupid and you will find a different way to finance that and you're going to be a success. But maybe if you heard like 20 no's from different groups, then maybe you need to take a look at what you're doing and find like is that something that players want?
I
Because if
think
that's
it's
something that players want, yeah, maybe you show it to players before you show it to publisher. That's not always a good idea, but this is one route, and then you showing that this is working, then yeah, maybe somebody needs to pick it up and find a way to finance your game. um yeah, where was I with the what was the question? Sorry, I got carried away a little bit
you're
as
good. No, you're painting the picture, and I
yeah,
just want to maybe repeat some things you said.
yeah.
So there are more ways to get funding,
Hmm.
but I think it's very important to acknowledge COVID made the sheep fat, and now we need to be wolves.
Yeah,
And it's that hangover period you're saying, and I think that contrast, people think, oh no, but it's actually like, oh, we woke up, right? Like the VC, the
yeah,
publisher is not funding pitch decks with nice logos and nice histories. They're
right,
looking at project by project because they can, because they
yeah.
only have plenty of options. And for me, I see life as a competition. I don't see it as a pie where there's
Hmm.
only X amount. I think there's
Right,
plenty of opportunities for everyone, but it's still a competition, right? If
right,
your
right,
project is worse than the next 10 projects they saw,
right.
take the feedback. And I think it's important to, maybe you can tell me, but from my understanding, all 20 of those no's may have not come with feedback. But there are some teams who will give feedback. And
Right.
if you get 10 no's and feedback,
Yeah.
and then you keep applying and then say, oh no, woe is me. It was like, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe implement the feedback and see what's possible, or kill the idea. I'm sure you've seen or had that conversation um, more times, right? Like many times.
Absolutely. Yeah. Back to what you said, comparing the industry or developers to sheep. I do believe that is the case to a big extent. I'm really careful with that. I've done another interview like some days ago
Put it on
with
me.
a
Just put it on me.
yeah, yeah.
I don't
That's
mind.
that's on you. That's
That's my claim.
I'm just trying to be really careful, especially being a publisher. I think we actually we just became. This is completely not related, but we just became a developer as well. So Forklift now
Yeah, I
is
saw
not
your
just a
post.
publisher.
Very timely.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. I always thought of Forklift as a sort of a not just the publishing game. We have enough expertise in how to make games, and that we wanted to do that. So hopefully, if it goes well, we're going to be proud of what we're doing. And yeah, this is why I'm saying that I'm also feeling even in the days when I was just a publisher, at the beginning of Forklift, or when I was running publishing for Tiny Build, I was always trying to put myself in the shoes of indies and developers, because this is the only way for you guys to work together. They are. It's a hell of a job. It's a really difficult thing to do, especially in the PC console space, where you are, instead of looking at metrics, you're sort of thinking of the experience you're building for players from something deep in in yourself, like what the kind of experience I want to build for them, and how would I feel being playing the game. And so that makes you, as any other creator, that makes you really vulnerable. If you try creating anything, uh, be the business or a game studio or a game or poetry, um, it's making you really vulnerable. And this is why I think a lot of the there's this almost like, well, not a competition but a debate, or almost like indies and publishers are sort of feel like they're in uh,
A war.
well, not against each other, but yeah, at the different sides of this debate. I don't see that way, honestly. I think the only way you can really be successful publishing indie games, you have to be really thinking the way indies and these little teams think, and what are their problems, what are they day to day. I don't say that I'm going to be able to completely 100% understand what it is, but I'm really trying to. So that's like that's sort of getting back to whole sheep becoming fat. It's just unfortunate that this happened this way. Yeah. Then you asked about what was after that. You asked. I don't know
Yeah,
why I keep
don't worry.
forgetting your
I
questions.
want to recap. So I think we understand we're in a market where there's opportunity, and for
Hmm.
me, just to put that out there, when I say sheep got fat and now we need to be like wolves, I see that as a very big positive, because
Right.
there's that lagging indicator where these companies, especially bigger publishers, I see it all the time. I speak with them.
Yeah.
I won't name names, but they still have a lot of these processes and they're not lean. That
Yeah.
means if you are lean, you've seen the breakout successes. Not everyone's a success, but like you can be in an environment where you know studios who were made 3, 5 years ago who are still quote unquote fat,
Hmm.
you're going up against them. And
Yeah.
yes, it's again, I know it's like I want to say a small piece here. Like people keep saying on the podcast, like 19,000 games were released on Steam last year. I'm like, okay,
Right.
how many songs are on Spotify? You
Yeah.
don't see musicians going, "Oh my god, stop making music."
Yeah.
It's like who makes the better music, and you have to market that music. You have to have a
Yep.
story. Like there's all these things. So I don't believe in the scarcity in that say. But I'd love to get into Andre is you have seen publishing from both sides,
Hmm.
and for the indie developer now, like for the next few minutes, I want to maybe tell them, imagine you have someone in front of you and they won't say no and they'll follow all of your advice.
Hmm.
Maybe there's some things that you feel like every indie developer should understand that
Yep.
when you speak to indie developers, they might miss.
Hmm.
So they're always the way I frame this question
Yep.
is like, what would you say is the biggest kind of mistaken belief about how publishing works and like really shoots kind of they're shooting
Hmm.
themselves in the foot when it comes to indie development?
Yeah. There's. I think we build the whole publishing on this thesis of what we call systems-driven games, systemic games. It's games where fun emerges out of systems instead of out of content. Right. If you one of the best analogies when we were starting Forklift and chatting with investors and people who we believe could help us to kickstart this with like uh, very scarce resources, we found that one of the best ways to explain is an example of comparison of puzzles versus chess, for example. So puzzle is a very content heavy thing. You you create a puzzle. There is a solution. It's only one solution typically, and for a player to enjoy it after they already solved it, they you have to come up with a new puzzle for them over and over again. So you have to, in order for you to make a game out of puzzles, you need to make like 100 puzzles, like 500
You need level
puzzles, 2,000.
designers, you need artists,
Exactly.
you need a machine to like make all these new
Yeah.
levels, right?
Whereas chess, despite being really hard to come up with a such a timeless mechanic, such a timeless game design, you design it only once. It is kind of genius. You have to put a lot of effort into this. But then you design systems, and the more systems you have, if you design them in a smart way, in the intersection of the systems happens the gameplay, happens the magic, and happens the unique experience that players get. And not only players, actually, this is like one of the reasons this is becoming hot, and it's been hot actually for a decade. We just never noticed it the same way because the content was like not as expensive, not as abundant in the market. So there was a lot of story driven games and stuff like that, and that was successful. Nowadays, it's becoming hard for this niche to win for these reasons because they you only played like story driven games for a couple of hours. A lot of even if you make 10 hours, it's still you gotta produce this, and this is expensive. And creators only play it also for this little time, and all the experience for every creator is mostly the same. Take a look at how much time and how much effort it took for this patch to make such a different endings and such a different ways to play the game. It's insane. It's just not for everyone. Whereas if you focus on systems, I'm not saying this is well. Actually, I am saying this is much cheaper and much easier to produce. You have to have a different mindset, and not every genre is going to be matching this. Um, but we build the whole forklift thesis based on the fact that we know we've seen 3 years ago when we were starting publishing that there's going to be more teams, more small teams looking for building those smaller scale titles that are actually can generate a lot of fun for players and that we believe are going to increase like the success rate among these games that are focused on systems with the small teams is actually higher in terms of the like both actually creatively and commercially. I would argue this. It's not just about the money. It's also about if you want to reach the most players and something that you've created, you want to be enjoyed by more people in the world. That is actually the way to go. And yeah, I think I've talked about this so many times. I try to plug this into every lecture that I do, into a lot of posts, and yeah, I think market is shifting towards that way, and that's definitely the one thing that I wanna talk about. And actually, on that regard, since I'm talking about the how we build forklift and getting back to how hard the life is for indies, when we were building forklift, and back to I just when I mentioned 20, when you heard 20 no's, this story immediately came up in my mind because when we were starting forklift, we originally had the idea of starting with venture capital, and so back then I was working with the Games Fund, so I had a lot of contact with many brilliant VCs that are focusing on premium segment in PC console space, and so we had like I don't know maybe 25, 30 calls with like top notch VCs in the world focusing on the PC right now, and we had all of these calls resulted in a really great conversations, but all of them resulted in a no. So by the time we finished our pitching in like 3 months, in the first round of pitching, my partner and I, we've just sat down. We went to GDC, sat down, and like, what do we do? What does it mean? And I think I'm not saying we're like exceptionally smart or anything, but somehow we did the smartest thing we could do. We actually took those no's and said, like, maybe there is something. Maybe starting the publishing with VCs right now, it's actually a bad idea. Why don't we actually redo the whole strategy that we have, the whole model, and we actually changed it. We went for a different way to work with the indies back then. And we started with our own funds and with a couple of angels, and then now it's a history. So I know this is a completely different business, but I think for many indies, I think it's a great idea to, if you are able to hear those no's and then try to get that feedback that you talked about before, actually trying to get your publisher that you just heard a no from to give you at least one or two sentences on why it's a no. Is it like a, is it something that you believe the genre is not working? Is it a core loop that is not sexy enough? Are this the visuals that don't match the what's happening on screen? Is it like the audience that you believe is not going to be right for that specific publisher? Is this the match of all these things? Tell me, right? So when we get like almost a dozen pitches every, like I would say a few dozen every week, and we try when we can, we try to give, especially when we see that the developer has who has sent the pitch already had put a lot of effort into this. We try to give at least like one or two sentences on why this is not happening. Obviously we cannot give this to everyone, it's a lot of work. um, but yeah, when you can, even if you hear just a no, you can still follow up and ask, can you just explain please why it's a no? It's going to be really important for us to get that. So that can be a really powerful tool if you can get this.
For sure. I want to touch on a few things you said there. So when you were saying systems based game, I was
Right.
thinking of the words core gameplay loop. Can
Mhm.
I use those interchangeably, or are they different?
I would say core loop you have with every game. Is just with some games the core loop is that, well, let's take the most difficult genre that is to sell these days is like adventure game, like point and click adventure, right? As much as I enjoyed this as when I was younger, and as much as I enjoy this still sometimes, occasionally, I do believe this is one of the hardest genres to try and sell these days. Um, and so your core loop is you get into a new location, you understand what needs to be done to continue, to proceed to like the next beat of the story, and you look for clues how to solve the thing, right? And then it can be like one big puzzle, can be a bunch of smaller puzzles, or some conversations, some dialogue choices. So that is still your core loop. So I think the idea core loop applies to every game. It's just with systemic versus content, your core loop is, I think, less predictable because there's a way to, um, yeah, there's a way to describe that as like emergent gameplay. And the reason it's called emergent because it emerges from a bunch of systems, right? So if you
Is
have,
Clash Royale a good example for this? So
I
Clash
would say
Royale, I feel
so.
like
I
it's the
think,
same game, but they can release
yeah,
a new hero. They can release a new
absolutely, yeah.
feature. They can just change. Literally, it's now a
I
special
think
game mode where you have to do something. Like that feels like it's system. We all
absolutely.
know Clash Royale, but they can just change a couple things, and now it's a different game.
I think intrinsically, just because how mobile has, I started my career in mobile actually. Well, honestly, in PlayStation 2, but then it was mobile quite fast. But I think what mobile is right now, and I haven't been really active there for like 5 years, so a lot of things changed since then. You can tell me, but I think most of because mobile is such a free to play thing, free to play is the game that never ends. If you have a free to play game that you may finish, you're dead in the water. There's like it's impossible, right? We all know that. So intrinsically, all the free to play games are systems driven. Um, it's just their systems are quite more different. You're dealing with people who are when I'm assuming when people play on mobile, they are much more distracted. It's for many of
Yeah.
them, it's a way to reduce stress. It's so there's a lot of like mindless playing, which is also
I can
fine.
tell you my
Like
example. It's
yeah,
5 to 10 minute sessions, or on a Sunday,
uh-huh.
I'm like, I want to grind and do a 2 3 hour session,
Right.
but I never start playing
Hmm.
thinking I'm going to play for 3 hours. It's always like, ah,
Hmm.
quick game.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, another one, another one.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I'm like, ah, shit, I should have done something else, but I
yeah.
still enjoy playing. So, I keep coming back. But it's like what you said, like, I'm just playing for that one little
Because it's a
system. And
really,
it's like a
yeah,
little kick,
it's really
and I keep
addictive.
going.
Yeah. But to give you an example from PC, I think well, actually, if you look at our portfolio, it's a little bit of everything. Because we started with the idea of becoming systems driven, but system driven for at first meant for us focusing more on the strategy games and automation games. Like Desync was our first game. Then Roman Triumph is also city builder. Automated is also an automation game, even though it's a little bit of a puzzle. I think we learned our lesson there. Simulation games is a big niche in systemic, specifically job sims, but simulation in general. You can also get like co-op, a lot of co-op games. Even the new term of friends lab is an ultimate systemic game. And yeah, there's more if you continue over there. There's Leaf Blower, another simulation games job sim. That's the word I'm looking for. An amazing game from Irish devs. Space comes a tactical, like Battle Brothers in space almost. Um, so all of these genres are, yeah, it's in new ones. Yeah, Pure Swords and Gate Guard are some of recent examples. So all of these games, there's no way to, you can finish Cache Cleaner. You can actually finish the game. You can finish the story, but that's not the end of the game. You can still continue playing. You can still there's still a lot of content for you, and we see people enjoying the median playtime. The median, not even the average. The median playtime on Cache Cleaner is 12 hours, and the average is like 20 hours plus or something,
Wow.
25. I don't remember. So it's huge. Whereas you need only like maybe 9, 12 hours to finish the story if you're efficient.
So
But
that's
there's
almost like
something,
the medium player completes the game and then some.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's obviously a great
So
game. But yeah, go on,
just
please.
because it's like, it's about systems, it's about the physics that is really interesting to play with cache. And every bill is simulated. There's a lot you can do there. There's a lot of tools. You can do automation. You can automate your process for cleaning and sorting the money. Um, there's stuff for you. Basically, a good systems driven game is a sandbox. Like not all of them will actually have the sandbox tag on Steam, but most of them you can still think of a sandbox, that you have a bunch of different things to do, and then nobody's like holding your by the hand and saying like, oh, you should do this and you should do that. You free whatever you want to do. And the way, like typically in a good systems driven game, there's a bunch of different ways to how to say, to skin a cat. And I don't know why would they have such a brutal idiom. Is
Used
that
to be
that's skin a
hunters
cat, right?
probably made that back in the day.
Horrible. Anyway, just popped up in my mind. So yeah, like that's I think what a good systems driven game is the freedom of choice to solve your thing. And this is why not only players enjoy it more, but also every creator has much more fun with it. There's content to be made just out of like really dramatic or silly or unexpected situations that you can
Hmm.
have because you
And it's not a
have this immersion
checklist
game.
now that I think about it. They're not just
Yeah,
like, oh, let me make this level
yeah.
and this chapter's done. It's like, no, let me make the system better, which will
Hmm.
enable new experiences. That feels, at least for me, not only higher leverage, but a bit more fulfilling, right? I'm not like trying to grind through a checklist. I'm trying to polish the system. Like, at least I haven't made a game, but if I did, it seems
Yep.
more satisfying to make.
Absolutely, it is. It takes a while. One of the challenges, and we are now. I've been talking about this, and I'm now putting my money where my mouth is that we're now developing a game that we just announced. It's called Above Colonies of this Mist. It's a city builder colony sim game where you build on top of the islands, and between the islands you have this deadly mist that you cannot get to, and you have to. So this is the city builder where you're limited by space, which is actually a new. Well, there's been a few of them, but not a lot, and we are now. This is for us a creative challenge. How do we make a city builder that is interesting to play with your limited space? It was somewhat inspired by a lot of these. City builders is one of my favorite genres. So Timberborn is one. Farthest Frontier, Against the Storm. Actually, I would say even Against the Storm was probably one of the most innovative city builders I've seen. Not only it's limited by space, but it's also the first roguelike city builder that has been done amazingly. And we're definitely getting some ideas from that and inspirations. So as we learn now, like even more so than when I was producing these games as a from the publishing perspective. Building systems is actually it's incredibly difficult, and the reason for this is that you have, let's say you've built like five systems, five of the core systems, and now you're building the sixth one. So you bring the sixth one to the mix, and suddenly everything changes because now this system like affects all the other five in a good or bad way. You need to balance them. You need to bring some new stuff, some take like cut away some stuff just to make it really interesting. So, and then in a big game, you might have like dozens and dozens of systems. If you think of like something like RimWorld or well, any other strategy game, there's a dozens of those systems over time, and it's extremely complex. But I still believe the payout is amazing because people will play this game for
Those are the
hours.
only
And
games I play.
yeah,
So like you're preaching to the choir here as a player anyway. Like I don't play games
yeah,
which I can complete because I actually feel it's a waste of time because I want to feel like I win something,
yeah.
whether it's my metagame or I'm like the number one or like I want
Do
something
you,
to feel like
as
yeah,
a
go on.
player, I wonder, as a player, do you feel like we're living the best times as a gamer?
Yes. However, there's a bit of an asterisk there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't enjoy it like I did when I was a kid
Mm-hmm.
because time.
Yeah.
So even though it's the best thing, I have a love hate relationship with games because I feel like if the games are too good, people miss life, which is, in my
Yeah.
opinion, building a career, having a family, providing for others.
Yeah.
If games are too good, I get scared and I actually uninstall it. I'm the worst player to track. Like if your
Right.
game's too
Right.
good,
Right.
even if I pay, I uninstall. But to answer the original question without that kind of drama from my existential crisis about people playing too much games sometimes,
Right.
it's yes, the best time because there are more games, but I still gamers are such haters. I will say that. And
Mm,
the people that love the
that is
games, they
true.
don't tend to say much. And this has come up because I do LinkedIn content for a lot of founders. And every bi-weekly interview, like I always am the emotional guy when I interview. Like, oh, what does this make you feel? How
Right.
does this make you feel? And the biggest positive feelings come from when a player shares, this completely changed my life because either it made me feel this way. I met my husband, I met my wife by playing this game. And yeah, I wasn't thinking about any of that when I was a kid. I was like, let's go on Miniclip, what's
Yeah.
around?
Yeah.
Fell into RuneScape and just played that for 10 years. That was my experience.
Yeah.
But now you
I
have
can
all
totally
these
relate.
ways to experience community. And when I say
Right.
community, I truly mean it. Like if you can now, instead of going playing outside, I mean, you want to do that. I don't think they're replaceable, but like you can enjoy with your pals Fortnite, then another MMO, or you
Right.
can play a friend swap game together. Like you didn't have that choice before, and there was nowhere near enough free to play examples. Like I remember only RuneScape being free to play, so I just played that. Like the amount of free ways to enjoy a game with a friend. So yeah, to long answer, but yes, I think it's the best time for players.
No, I totally can relate to that. I was curious about this because I don't think that everybody thinks that way, or at least, yeah, you're right. Gamers, there's a lot of haters among gamers. We I think because we have a really high standards. But you can also, if you spend too much time on Twitter, you might think that, oh my god, it's so
That's the
bad.
world.
Everything is such a, it's all goes to shit. Like everything is,
And
we're
LinkedIn.
going through,
Honestly, it's
and LinkedIn
the
as well. I try to steer away a little bit from LinkedIn, especially in past few months. Um,
top tip
uh,
because
yeah.
I love LinkedIn. I've used the unfollow and block button. My feed is very nice. It's
Oh,
only
actually,
some people.
that's how I fix my Twitter feed. So I need just to do the same
Yeah,
thing with
honestly,
LinkedIn.
it literally
Just
it will
invest
take
some
1 week.
time.
I
Yeah,
promise you.
yeah.
1 week, everyone's gone. All the yappers, because there's not many of them. Like
That's
I
actually a
actually
really
have.
good point.
Yeah,
I
I have
typically
some.
don't like to
Go on.
be. Yeah, I typically don't like to be in this echo chamber. I'm really like, as a producer, you have this like feeling in yourself. Like always try not to like. I don't know. It's just I'm always conscious of not being in an echo chamber where everything is
No,
just, oh, it's
I
all,
agree, but
yeah.
there's a difference
But you're
between
right.
feedback
Yeah,
and critique.
yeah.
It's a difference. Saying, what is this effing game? This is shit.
Hmm.
Unsubscribing. I had a comment on one of my podcasts recently.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay. The one below it is the flashing text on your trailer is so
yeah.
fast I can't read it.
Right.
Change it.
That's
I kept that comment.
yeah.
Thank you. The other guy
That's
just said,
positive. Yeah.
this sucks. But I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
well, I don't need you in my life. And I think
It's
on
just some
LinkedIn, you can
people,
clearly tell when someone's trying to add to the conversation or
right?
someone tear people down, right? Like those are the people I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't be asked with your energy right now.
There's some people that are going to like some of the best some of the best critique you get is from really passionate like fans of yours because they really want to spend their time like making a comment, especially like a valid
But you can
comment that
tell, right? I feel like you
yeah,
can
yeah,
tell where it's coming.
it
You can
takes time.
feel
Yeah.
if it's what's the word? If it's
But some
genuine,
people, yeah,
please change the
some
game.
people just need to vent. But that's the other thing. That's like just when they need to vent on you on at your behalf. That's a different thing. That's
Yeah, but if
something
they
that I
give the
don't do.
solution in the vent, we keep those people. If you just vent and say, this is shit, I'm turning off LinkedIn. I had a very, not viral, but it was viral for me. I had like 300 likes, 280 comments, 30,000 impressions. And I was talking about how someone quite
Hmm.
prominent in the industry, like a big publisher, he
Yep.
said, LinkedIn sucks now
Hmm.
and he hates all the AI content. And
Mm.
I'm just like, I felt like he was missing the point because people are using AI to speed up the writing process.
Hmm.
They're not doing it because they want to like get ahead. They want to
Yeah.
hopefully,
Yeah.
improve their careers. And it's like every social media is just human beings. And
Hmm.
most human beings you meet aren't assholes. So when you
Yeah.
say this is shit, like for example, your personal experience, like LinkedIn is negative. Like I would challenge you, is like maybe there's 4 people post too much.
I
Get
do
rid of
agree
them,
with
and
you.
then the rest is
I think
good.
it's mostly that because when I started forklift, I realized I need to get back to Twitter and actually make it useful for me. And since then, I think I don't have time to invest in it that much, but I think even at the scale that I'm using right now, it's been one of my most useful tools for chatting with new devs, finding new content, and just being vocal about like the how we operate and how we're different from the rest of the publishers and like what are our uh, like how do we what's our
Yeah.
DNA and yeah, what our values are.
But you
So that was
created,
really
right? You created on the platform, you
yeah,
posted,
yeah,
and then the algorithm learned from you.
yes,
If someone is never posting and they only engage
yep,
by dwell, because another thing to be important, because LinkedIn is basically my job right now, it's dwell time is a big indication of what LinkedIn
hmm,
should show you. So
right,
if you spend most of your time reading the people that you don't agree with
hmm,
because it like rage baits you,
yeah.
LinkedIn's
It's going
like,
to give
great,
you
let's
more
show
of the
this thing you
stuff.
more.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
if you
this
don't
person is
create,
really into hurting themselves by reading some shit.
yeah.
So let's show
And
more.
then I
I
understand
totally
you
agree. I
made
know
your own echo
afterwards.
chamber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So cool. I'm
But yeah,
conscious of there's so many things we want to cover. I want to ask
hmm,
you, Andre.
right.
You tell me if this is less important than I think it is, but I
Hmm,
think it's very important.
hmm,
So every time I go to a conference, so I go to
right,
Nordic Game, I try to spend an hour or two reviewing games.
right.
And I was really surprised every time. No one said, "Oh my god, we didn't get any feedback like this before." So
Hmm,
I go there like, "Are you sure you want feedback?" Because I'll give brutal feedback. I
hmm,
make it dramatic. And most of the feedback I give is like, I don't know what's happening on the screen,
hmm,
and it's been a minute.
right,
So if I'm trying to buy this game, but more
hmm,
importantly, discover this game because a
right,
streamer played it or a YouTube person played it, I don't know what's happening. Who cares? Like I don't care
right,
how good this game is. I will never find out.
right.
So it was very surprising to me that almost all of these games had an element where it's like, I don't know what's happening. This is not clear. Hearthstone has red health bar. Why is your health bar blue? Like,
Hmm.
what is happening right now? Like, just make it easy. How important do you think is making your game ready for content creators? Like, do you factor that in when you're publishing games? I'm very
Hmm.
curious.
Extremely important. I would say this: you have to when you go to. I'm going to speak about Steam because that's where most of my experience is right now. When you go to Steam and you look at the screenshots, even before you clicked and made it bigger, just when you look at the Steam page and you click capsule, you look at the name of the game and you look at this or the screenshot, it has to be immediately clear to you what is that you're going to do as a player. Am I going to build? Am I going to manage something? Am I going to be somebody? Am I going to defend something? Am I going to battle somebody? Like the way I think we like to. So yeah, if you click on the first screenshot of that one, like not even well, the video is also like yeah, obviously you see that this is a first-person view. There's money in the screen, and there's a washing machine, and washing machine is actually in the washing machine. So you're going to actually put money in washing machine. Then you're going to sort it, you're going to dry it, and do a bunch of things with the game because that's your job. So it has to be immediately clear to you what the game is going to make you do. And ideally, it needs to also give you this in a way that is hooking your attention somehow, either by it looking just great or funny or curious what's going to happen next. Um, the way we think about the my partner likes to call it, and I think that's maybe more widespread in the industry that I think. We want to ensure that every screenshot is telling you a verb, what what verb is applying to this.
Let me know if this is a good way to describe it. Like each photo should not require the previous or the next frame to explain that photo. Like you should be able
Ideally,
to see it
yes.
and
They
understand.
build on
Yeah.
top of each other as to give you like some idea of the scale. You also want the screenshots to have honestly different color palette. If you go to we had this issue with Spacecom when we originally the first Steam page we posted of that game only had
Mhm.
one like biome is a desert. Now it's going to be we're releasing a demo soon, and it's going to add another biome, and there's going to be more by the early access this summer. But yeah, you want to see, you want to ensure that your color palette is different, because in a way this tells your brain, the player's brain, that this is variety, this is like what it needs to look like. So yeah, right now there's some variety, but still one biome, so there's going to be variety soon, and people really love the game. I'm not worried about one, but yeah, so you're totally correct. It needs to be immediately clear, um, at least to the people who are into your genre. So, for example, you might the Steam page of Spacecom that you just showed might not be immediately clear to, let's say, my mom, who is not into games at all, or to a person who was really into not really into tactics combat games. They would not maybe understand this, but your core audience needs to immediately look and understand. Oh, this is my jam. I really want to play that. Where's the demo? When's the playtest? And whatnot. Yeah.
No, beautiful. Great. For this section, what I mean, you know this because you speak to the indie developers, but I also know it from the comments I get on actually Dino's episode. I saw a
Hmm.
bunch of indie developers comment,
Hmm.
and a big one was just misunderstanding how publishers work and the
Hmm.
commercial side. And I think the second one was I think people underestimate how many pitches they need to do, and like it's just
Hmm.
part of the game. It's a feature, not a
Right.
bug. That you will get loads of no's.
Hmm.
What part of the publishing process do you think we should focus on? Or what do you think they would want to hear more about based on
Hmm.
your personal experience? The pitching process or the kind of commercial side that they should kind of think about?
So one thing that I would like to, one of the potentially misconception that happens with developers, and even with new publishers. Obviously, we launched the publisher some years ago, and we launched alongside many others. Some of them are doing well, some of them don't exist anymore, and I think the reason for that is that more people think that being a great publisher is a there's sort of just like one gimmick to learn, and you're going to become a successful publisher. Um, and I think this is a misconception, and this is why maybe the whole debate is happening, like whether indies need publishers at all. Because if you already have traction, maybe you can do it. You can do it actually if you find a way to make your game already appealing to your audience organically. You don't need nobody to help you with none of your stuff.
Can
It's
I
fine. You
disagree?
might not. Yeah, you can.
Because that just means you have marketing and publishing in house. It doesn't matter if the developer knows marketing. It just
Exactly. I
means you
think you're
like. I
right.
still feel like you're
Absolutely.
publishing. It's
Yeah.
like you said it in your post.
You just
Like
do it
these are
yourself.
both
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah. You just do it
Self-publishing
in
doesn't
house.
mean you're not going to market. It just means you have some skill set in house. However, I think I want to make it very clear because I
Yep.
work with a lot of marketing agencies, and I had a round table at my London event 2 weeks
Right.
ago. It was the marketing round table, and I spoke to the person moderating it, and he
Hmm.
mentioned there was an indie developer on that table who had the attitude of let's pay let's spend $5,000 on our
Hmm.
trailer. I post it on my socials, and the audience will take care of it. And I'm like you've definitely done better than most. Let's put it that way. But that for me is not publishing. And he doesn't know what he doesn't know in
Yeah.
my head. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a disservice to say if you can do it yourself, do it yourself. I'm like, yeah, but how many indie developers truly know how to
Yeah.
publish their own game? I think it's very few.
And also, how many of them like this? Like,
Very good point.
first
It's
of
a
all,
very different part of
yeah,
the brain, right?
I
I would
wanna
assume.
I do publishing because I love this. I'm the kind of person that enjoys this process. I love a bunch of plates to spin, and just I think I'm good at this. But I think in life you need to do things that you like. If you don't like them, you need to hire somebody either internally or externally, or find a partner. I would not spend 5,000 on a trailer unless it's a fucking amazing trailer with like some animation, or you need to do a custom CGI. I would typically, I think we don't spend that much on trailers. We spend like 1 or 2 grand. Again, depends really on the trailer. There might be trailers that spend 10.
And I
It's
think it
just like,
depends on your market as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Like if
I would
you're
just say that like,
comparing the game to a Call of Duty, you're
yeah.
gonna need some pizzazz, right?
Oh, you need 50K at least. But then what I mean is that like, you're completely right. It's not that this developer is not needing a publisher. They just do the publishing things internally. But here's the thing, that getting back to what I said before, that it's not a gimmick. It's not just one gimmick that, oh, let's make a trailer, let's send it to IGN, see if they take it, and that's it. So my metaphor for publishing, I think it's the kind of thing that's like, what is the difference between a driver who just learned to ride a car like a week ago, or a driver who has like 10 years of experience? It's
They
not
have the
like,
same driving license.
yeah, but then the guy, if you take a look at actual day-to-day situations, how they handle like traffic, there's not going to be, if you ask the experienced driver to make this non-experienced driver like move him up to his level, it will not be like an hour conversation, the experienced one saying to the non-experienced one a few gimmicks. Oh, you just do this and that, and you're going to become an experienced driver. It's a load of like a dozens and dozens of small things, of habits, of knowledge, of everything that he had over these 10 years that made him this experienced driver. I think this is true for every activity in life, but specifically publishing, I think, is, at least in my knowledge, similar to development is actually as well, is that it's not just one thing or two things you need to learn to become a great publisher. It's a bunch of things, from knowing how to work with your audience, how to find it, how to make a trailer, how to talk about your game in the right terms to catch the attention, how to do playtesting, how to do a lot of these boring things like localization and QA and porting, and having a network and having opportunities and being at the right time in the right place, and a bunch of other things, right? That is the difference. And I think this is why I think the influx of new publishers, which I'm not against, I'm totally fine. This is the competition, as you said before. I'm also believing in the competition. So the more we have, the more we can learn from each other. Um, but I think the just the influx of that, of the sheer number of new publishers, this is what making some of the people in the industry like taken aback and said like, well, this is a bit of bullshit, right? And I totally see, even I'm pretty sure that even in his podcast, when Dino talked about when we were starting publishing, I also chatted with Dino and said like, this is what we're planning to do. So he definitely thinks of us as one of those people, and it's fine. It's completely fine. It's not like I think we show by doing, are we good or not,
I think
right?
there's a
So
difference,
that's,
right?
yeah.
There's a difference. Like in my world, it's ripe. Like I
Hmm.
am going to go into the info world, which the info world is like I'm selling education and information. Loads of people have a bad experience, of had one where they paid someone to learn something and then didn't get what they want. So I think the same is for me very similar to publishing. Where it was like, okay, these people will tell you what they will tell you what your dream outcome is. They will say this is their process, and the thing that you can do is great. They'll be able to explain it. I understand it, but where's the proof? If there's not enough proof of people who look like you, then go with someone who does have more proof. They will probably charge more, probably been around for longer. But for example, in your case, you've had some proof. You've shipped titles. You've done something. You've been through the publishing process. You've already launched games which
Yep.
made more money than they spent.
Yep.
I think if people understood that it's okay,
Hmm.
there are going to be people out there. It's not illegal to give a bad service,
Yep.
right? It's just not
Absolutely.
nice.
You just need to be, yeah, you just need to be, you knowing what you're getting into. There's one other thing that happened in between the Dino's podcast and this one. Tim Bender from Hooded Horse posted this thing about like indie publishers, indie developers. What did he say? He said like most indie devs should not work with indie publishers. That was PC Gamer, and that actually made me post my thing.
Yeah, what do you
Um,
think about that?
I agree. Again, I agree where he's coming from. I just think that the reason it became such a it resonated so much with and the gave made so many people comment is because maybe he was a little bit how do you say this word well, a bit binary about this, whereas there's actually nuance, right? All what you said before. But I think I agree with him that it's really important when if you want to go into relationship with a publisher or your project finance partner or your anybody actually who is like any kind of entity that is going to be there for like working with you on this game for a long time, you have to
Basically, a
be
marriage.
really take it seriously, right? So one of the good things I always recommend that go and chat. Well, if you like to get a better decision, go and chat with the developers that's publisher already had released. Like so, get their
Basically, calling up references. Like you
yeah,
do it
call
when you hire
reference
someone.
exactly. That's the
So
shorter way of
why not?
telling it. Get that because like and actually chat with developers who maybe like don't chat with the most successful cases in this publisher portfolio. Go and talk to developers who have like lower reviews on lower review counts, like basically less successful titles, and see how this publisher treated them. Did they still continue investing time and money to
Yeah,
sell the
did they
game better?
only put in the true full effort on the
Exactly,
titles which showed
exactly.
early promise?
Because you have to. This is where I totally agree with Tim because I think Hooded Horse is definitely doing that, putting effort in all the other games they have, and this is important. And we try to do the same thing at our level. Um, but also look at what how there's another thing that I think indies are getting upset with publishers in that they see that publishers often would pick up only the titles that already have traction on Steam. So you can do your own little research. Go to that publisher portfolio, take a look at there are a few other titles that are successful, or even the titles that haven't been out yet. They're just upcoming. And take a look. Typically, for every game, there's a post in the Steam timeline where the game announces we're going to be working with this publisher. So typically the date when they started working together, like or when the trailer first appeared on the trailer on the channel of the publisher. So you know when. So you can go to Steam followers chart and see when did the publisher take this game, or at least when they announced it. Did they take it when it already had a huge traction, or did they take it in a time when there was no traction and they made this happen for that game? So I was just thinking yesterday about like this. I don't think it was our conscious choice. We would love to have more games in our portfolio that already had a lot of proven traction, but it's not the case for us. We've been lucky to work with stage games at the game called Desynced as the first game we had that had an amazing traction before we signed them. So we've been lucky like that, and we're really happy working with the team, and hopefully we've been valuable there. But a lot of our other games, we just don't look at that as our main decision making point, whether the game has traction. I think it's a publisher's job to create a lot of distraction, right? So to
Yeah.
create this hype. Again, I'm not saying we should not take, or the publisher should not take the
You
games
need
that have
taste,
traction.
right? I'm
Of
using
course,
music as an analogy. Like
yeah, yeah.
Simon Cowell did a documentary recently where they tried to find a band, and
Hmm.
none of the boys who tried to join this band had traction, but they had
Hmm.
nice voices.
Yeah,
So I'm sure people as a publisher, they're going to pick the best titles they can. If they
yeah.
already have a TikTok following, happy days. Like I feel like I don't understand. Not, I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit cynical, but I don't understand the doom and gloom or the stress when
Yep.
there's so many examples of this in other industries. And for me, it doesn't seem to be so dramatic there.
Yep.
I maybe this is me being outside, but like I don't understand the doom and gloom that
Yep.
specifically.
Yep. Well, again, I know why this is coming from because, like I said, specific even this one little tiny piece of debate. Like, if you are an indie and you send your pitch to 30 publishers, and then all of them get back to you with a no, and you have a sense that this no comes from the fact that you have no traction on Steam, you might become upset because, like, oh, I was assuming that it's a publisher's job to make the hype, right, and get traction. But again, it's just very nuanced. Another thing that you should try and understand is like what exactly, especially if you get to a call with the publisher, you gotta ask them what is special about the way they work, because I would urge every developer not to assume what the publisher is going to do, and ask like what specifically they're good at and where they want to put more of their attention. So for
Can we
us,
role play?
as a if you were a developer and I was a
I'm the indie
publisher,
developer. I want to ask
yeah,
you.
let's do, of
Yeah.
course.
So I have a game. I
Hmm.
think it's systems based. Hey, Andre, thank you so much for joining on this call. I'm very curious. What do you actually do? Because obviously you're a publisher, but like, what part do you do? What part do I do?
Hmm. Yeah. So one of the strengths of Forklift is the fact that we specialize in systems driven games, which still means we have a bunch of different genres, like three or four main core genres. But every time we do the game in this specific genre, we get to learn a lot from the tastes and habits of this audience. Where do we find them? What creators they want to watch, and how do they work with them? How do you run advertisement on this specific audience? Like, what are the best sources? Is it TikTok game, or is it like a Reddit kind of game? So specialization gives you a huge boost. You can see that from if you look at the different publishers, those who specialize now win more. So for us, it's really important. So why this is why it's really happy to see, Harvey, that your game is systems driven. Like, let's say it's a job sim or like a combat tactics RPG game, right? I'm playing a lot of Spacecom recently and other similar games, so that's in my mind. But yeah, that's one thing that is really important, that we bring expertise from this particular genre. We know how to work with your game, and not just any game in general. Not to mention even the fact that there's a lot of really good cross promotion to be had between our other games that are successful already and your game, which helps a lot to have the initial boost of wishes and players.
What do you mean cross
Um,
promotion? How does that happen? How does that work?
so easy. You put like let's say we have a cache cleaner update coming up. We just shipped one like the day before. And we in the post we mentioned that, well, this is the update for cache cleaner, but if you like this kind of game, maybe you'll also like leaf blower or the gate guard, which is coming up soon. And we see an incredible boost in wish lists, which is, again, this is, I think it's typical for this audience specifically, and for other genres, other things work better. But this cross promotion works really well on Steam and across other platforms. We do have our own fan newsletter that has already a few thousand people following us. So anytime we need to announce new game or anytime we need to do a playtest, we use this fan base. Another thing is playtesting. I think this is, if you had to ask me what is the second biggest thing that indies need to do, outside of focusing on systems driven games, I would say do more playtesting. It's an incredible tool that is helpful for marketing and for understanding what people want in your game, because it's really important for us to not only be commercially successful, but also ensure that your review on Steam is above 80%, or ideally even above 90%, because we know it's a quite a correlation between the reviews and success, like commercial success. So we are specializing playtesting, and we do know how to run playtests from really really early stage, when you have like maybe a couple of dozen people playing and give you in-depth feedback about the some issues of the game or some stuff that is incredibly good and we need to focus on that more,
Amazing.
and up till the demo and the actual launch of the game, when we play testing with hundreds of people to get more of an like a more superficial opinion whether they like the game in general or not, and what we need to how can we fix that. So specialization in playtesting, that's two. And the third one I would say is the fact that we we really know indies and we know how to adjust to their needs. So I think a great publisher needs to be like water. You cannot be rigid. You cannot be come in and like, I'm the stone. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be standing your team here, and you need to report and stuff here. But yeah, you need to be liquid in terms of like, you need to fill the gaps of what developer either lacks in their team, or what they just don't feel like they're good at, or they just hate something. Like, some people are really into running their social media or discords, some don't like this. Some want to be really involved in like the trailers and the playtesting and something else, and some of them are quite leaned out and more prefer to focus on development. So we try and find what are the gaps we can fill for you, and we have expertise and network and just really experienced people for that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I only have one follow up question.
Hmm.
So you said you have expertise when it
Hmm.
comes to ads, where to find creators.
Hmm.
Can you explain what you execute on and what you advise us on? Are you guys going to reach out to the creators, for example? Is
Oh,
that helping
absolutely.
me
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah.
So what part do I have to do versus what you have to do? Are you is it hands off for me? Do I just give you assets? Like, can you explain
Basically,
that, please?
sort of, yeah. So we want to be, in most cases, we want the developer to focus on the game as much as possible. That's the most important things. We want you to really be like, whenever we launch a playtest, we want you to look at the survey and think if you want to add something or get some more questions or modify something. Then we want you to be really leaned in when we give you the results of the playtest, and we can together analyze this. When it comes to other things like marketing, like outward facing things like marketing and showcases and bringing more audience to the game, it's more on us. And if the developer is really good at like making social, like running social media, making TikToks or Twitter, we're completely comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Let us know we
I'm
need
thinking of
any help there.
Megabonk. Like Megabonk
Exactly.
reminds me of someone who was a
Mhm.
creator who knows how to play around Unity, but is
Mhm.
also damn good at making shorts. Like so good.
It's visible. Yeah. So some developers really good at it, and we don't want to mess with that. I think when it comes from developer, it's always going to be much more authentic and
Yeah.
much more spot on what the game is. But in some cases, developers just, yeah, we're not into this stuff. So
Yeah.
if you can do
And you
something
pull
with
it out
that,
of them, I guess.
absolutely. But when it comes to everything else, it's on us. Yeah, obviously, the creators actually is, I would say, top one thing that we're making that because not only because we know how to do it faster and easier, we also can get them cheaper because we have previous relationships with
Economies of
them.
scale.
Yeah, we have, sometimes we do package deals, and this just makes sense to have all this relationship with agencies and sole creators. So yeah, for most cases, this is you don't need to help in this specific area. It's really on us. And I think
Awesome.
it just, I realized that's not the latest. Actually, I would say maybe this is one of the important things. I think when I if I were an indie developer and I have a call with the publisher, honestly, I really want to know if they're gamers, because
Why?
if they're not, I just don't feel this connection. I don't think I've ever thought of this before, but I just, sometimes I get this comment from players, like some of the indie teams we already work with, that the reason they get together with us is that we really want to discuss game design, the roadmap, why the game was made this way, or like how to make it better. And we, when we chat about this, we clearly come from the gamer's perspective. We do love these games we work on, and we love the genres we work on. Um, and I think I'm realizing that maybe that's not every publisher. Maybe there's, I think it would be a like a facepalm, but I think it seems like there's some publishers who are not really play the games as much.
Are
That
more
sounds
number
crazy to
crunchers
me.
or marketers?
Yeah, because I think that's still valuable. You can be an amazing marketer, and I guess, and don't play games. I don't know if that's possible. Maybe, but
Let's
I
put it this
still, as
way.
an
I was
indie,
in recruitment, Andre, before my current job.
right?
And there were some jobs we had, marketing producer,
Hmm.
and there was some producers who got to the final stages. And when we were doing screenings, said, they want a gamer. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
I play games. Like, great. What do you play? Sims. Cool. And then we got the feedback from the interviewer. It's like, yeah, she doesn't play games. It's like, what do you
Hmm.
mean? She told us she keeps playing. She's like, yeah, she's played a game 10 years ago and
Oh my
now
god.
actually thinks games is a bit weird. I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay, so there's levels, right, to gaming. Like people can say,
Yeah,
"Oh
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
game," but like they don't truly live on YouTube.
Hmm.
Like I think my YouTube gameplay watch time
Right.
is very much up there. So like
Hmm.
I understand. I guess
Yeah,
toot
yeah,
my own
yeah.
horn. Andre, do you think this is a good idea? In 5 years, I make so much money, I have so much access, and I start a publisher. But I will be really good, and I'll hire the right people because I think I will have enough access. I could maybe come up, compete. There's room for everyone, but I feel like I could start a publisher now. I don't know if I'm being very delusional, but like I could bring the
I
right
don't
people
know.
together.
Yeah, you can definitely. I think in 5 years' time, we might see some new models. And maybe by then, there's going to be something new that I'm not even aware of.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of things that I wonder for gaming industry. For example, the fact that still so many developers make this content-driven games because it's the games that they were
they grew
inspired
up on.
by, and I think there has to be a new model for them eventually to come back into fashion. I think, and I think this will come from some new business model as well. Maybe new platform,
Maybe
maybe
an
something else.
maybe a
So
new
I
version
think
of
it's
Netflix. Netflix tried, but I think they didn't
exactly,
try
yeah,
hard enough.
yeah.
Let's put it this way.
What I mean is that in 5 years' time, we have the gaming industry was changing so fast in the past 10 years that in 5 years' time we'll have so much new stuff that maybe you won't do a publishing, maybe you want to start a studio or some new entity that we don't even know of. So yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
possible. Why not?
I did a few joke comments online. It's like, why do I feel after reading this, it's so easy to start a game studio? It was one of the posts by John Wright, who
Yeah.
owns a mobile gaming company, and he
Hmm.
talked about all the mistakes that people were making. I'm like, what if I just don't do those mistakes? I think I'll be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I was very naive, but one day.
But that's
Could I
I think you
ask
have
you?
to be
No, go on.
delusional, Harry. No,
Of course, yeah.
you have to be delusional. When I was promising my partner Tucker Dean, he was at Adult Swim producer, like one of the senior producers at Adult Swim Games, and we had this is how we met through Tiny Build and his previous company, and we were starting Forklift. I told him, Tucker, we're gonna be in money in like 3 months. I have all these connections with VCs. It's easy. It's like we know what to do. You've been doing publishing for 10 years. I was doing for 5 years. I'm running a studio, so it's gonna be fucking amazing. And then 3 months later, we were so utterly fucked, and looked for again. I think this was the best thing that happened to the company. Definitely one of the most positive things to hear all this harsh feedback. And still, I think you have to be delusional to start. Like I had a post about starting the studio under Forklift umbrella. I do realize I chat with many industry peers, and they say like, Andre, this is a little bit crazy. Like doing the running a studio. Well, you haven't even like you're not a big publisher yet. You're still in a before you stabilize, don't have like proper future. I know it's a little bit crazy, but I think this is what we believe should work, and we're going to put all of our effort into this to make it work. So yeah,
Even
being
if you
delusional
lose,
is
you will
not.
learn. That's
Yes.
the thing.
Yeah.
If for you specifically, it's amazing because if you lose, that is such good learning for all the other future publisher titles. You will have felt it firsthand, not from 5 years ago, but from 2026.
Right.
I don't see it being crazy. I think it's the big picture. It's like if you don't do it, there's going to be a publisher who has done it, who has more experience.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hell yeah! Could I steal a few more minutes? I have a few lightning questions.
Yeah.
Um, there's a because I'm conscious of everyone who stayed to the end. I really much appreciate your time. And Andre definitely has an answer to the question you have. So I'm going to try to run through a few, and I'm looking for
Yeah.
one-liners, Andre.
Yeah.
So if it's more nuanced, then just say it, and we can come back to it maybe for round two.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do devs routinely over expect from a publisher, and they should like stop?
Over expect. I don't think that's been my experience that they over
Okay.
expect something.
Sweet.
Yeah. I think if you one line answer, if you really put enough effort into knowing how your publisher partner operates and you have regular syncs, then I don't
What's
think
regular?
I've seen. Yeah, then I don't think I've seen that happen.
What
Miscommunication
is a
for us
regular sync?
depends on this. Like typically from weekly to biweekly, depending on
Okay.
how important is the next phase for us.
Sweet.
Yep.
What's one metric or number you value more than a wish list?
Median playtime.
Why?
Because if people play, first of all, I believe Steam is valuing median playtime, both directly,
Do you mean like algorithmically serving
algorithmically.
games?
Yeah, there's
Interesting.
definitely, they haven't been really vocal about this. There's been a couple of places where they mentioned this, and I believe it's algorithmically there because Steam believes, as a DNA, that if people spend more time, that generally means that they like the game and
It's
they
like YouTube.
believe they've gotten their money's worth. But also indirectly, if you think about it, if you have a long median playtime, then the same 1,000 people who started playing the game today, they're going to be still playing the game like 1 week after and 1 month, sorry, 1 month after, and the new players are going to come and they're going to go on top of
They're
this.
gonna,
So your CCU
they're
was
gonna log on
basically going
Steam.
to, yeah, yeah. So they're going to increase your CCU, but that CCU also means that more people are going to notice that. And the
Hmm.
more, there's also another factor of this that is difficult to measure. Sorry, that's a long answer, but that's important. Um, the more you play the game as a player, the more chances you've got to talk about the game to your friends, to stream it, to that's going to be on top of your mind because you play it
Yeah.
more.
I like
So
the word mind share. Like the more mind share your game has, even
absolutely.
if it was the best game ever, if there's a game which is a little bit worse, but you played for 10x the time, there's more mind share. You're going to talk about it more.
And you're going to spread the word and it's going to be more successful as a result. So median playtime is absolutely more important than wishlist, I would say.
Beautiful. What's your default stance on early access? I've heard a few takes, which is either avoid it or you abuse it.
I would say avoid it more than use it unless you really have an idea why you're making it. And these days, the reason to make it is not as simple as like, oh, I want to launch the game and get some feedback before it gets done. The players this day expect the early access version to be your top notch, best of possible worlds kind of game that you launch. Nobody's going to give you much forgiveness for not finishing something. It needs to be really a solid experience that's worth the money you're asking for it. And so this is why for most games these days, I would not recommend going early access because you might end up in a situation when early access not giving you enough fuel, because it doesn't appear new and trending. You're not going to get to the top. But then by the time you launch 1.0, even though you're going to appear there, people are going to get over the game. It's not as novel anymore. So you're going to have two smaller beats of early access on 1.0 instead of one bigger beat of 1.0 spot on. I think we might launch Spacecom into early access, but that's going to be a really controlled experience, and we know why we're getting there. But even that is not a given yet. We might still change our minds based on the demo and other beats.
Beautiful. Thank you. So two more for you.
Yep.
So we spoke for a good amount of time. I really appreciate it. So 70 minutes in, is there anything you want to tell a small studio that is strategic that we feel like we haven't covered or you want to maybe focus on? Like what would they need to do to stay alive, for the next few years? Something you really want them to leave this podcast with?
I would really recommend trying to, if you don't need a budget, then obviously you can make your first game in your spare time, which is really difficult. I would really not recommend doing this if you can get some funding for it just to make your life easier, because it's really difficult to do your daily job and do work on your game on the side. But if you do need a budget, I would really try and find the something that you can finish, like game wise. Look for something that you can realistically finish in the next 4 to 6 months. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you are really smart about this, um, then actually you can do a lot, especially if that's one of your first games. Because feature creep and overscoping is something that killed so many projects, so many games. And as a developer, it would be better for you to have, if you, let's say, if you want to spend the next 2 years trying this game development career and see if that works out for you, you would be much better off in a more successful position if you spend those 2 years making three smaller games than building one bigger game in those 2 years. So yeah, trying to go for that. And so if you need a budget, also look for something that you can build realistically, making like there's some like places in the world where you can build a game for 50K. I know this like is a minuscule amount of money for the Western markets, but there's when I was starting my own studio, my budgets were like that exactly because I was doing them between like Lithuania and Russia back in like 2008, 2012. So there's still territories where this is possible. If you're in the Western markets, then potentially you can go up to like 150, 300K. This is the budget that most publishers today can do. And more importantly, it's something that you can it's supposed to be small enough projects for you to start and see whether that's working. You can always like you go bigger if you feel like it's actually getting traction, there's more interest, and it's worth it. But starting as a at the beginning, you have to be modest at first. Just make sure that creatively you are doing something that you're enjoying. And after all, indies win not by budgets. Like the if you know like the David versus Goliath. He did not win by the body mass. He did not win by he was smart. He had something. He had a weapon. He had something that the Goliath didn't have. So when I see indies sending me a pitch and saying we're going to do this like their take on God of War or like this indie take on God of War, I'm like why would people play this instead of playing actual God of War? I know God of War is an even bad example, but like they're still trying to make like a indie version of a really big AAA title, and
Yeah.
therefore they're going to compete in a field where money wins. And this is one thing that indies don't have. They don't have the resources and money and to hire these resources. So you have to win by innovation, by doing something smart, and really something that nobody has seen before.
Can I share something for everyone? And maybe you will like this, Andre, because I think it's
Hmm.
exactly what you
Hmm.
just said, but it just happened in slightly different industry, but I think it's very relevant.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed, Markiplier, he's a YouTuber.
Oh, an amazing
He
example. Like perfect. I
honestly,
know the
I
story.
as soon as you were talking, because I want to recap what Andre said because it's brilliant. So I'm a YouTuber technically, but it's not my thing. I
Right.
do a podcast with good old Andre here. I have someone helping me prep my guests, and it takes me now 2 to 3 hours a week. But I have a full blown YouTube channel every week. I'm going to get partnered, cool.
Yep.
But YouTube isn't my thing because if I tried to make it my thing, I'd be broke and I couldn't feed my family.
Right.
So what do? I did my first podcast audio only. Someone said that shit. I'm like, okay. I learned how to paid $30 for Riverside, and then I tried to do captions, and then realized, oh, people don't want that. They want a better mic. So I slowly started
Hmm.
investing, and then I
Yep.
was like, okay, I don't have time to edit. I'll pay for an editor. But I only did that by doing a podcast a week and getting a little bit of results, a referral
Right.
here or there. Now, Markiplier's example, guys. So Markiplier announced this 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And what's brilliant about this when it comes to your example is he's starring it, he's the person promoting it, and also he self-funded it. But then
He
here's
is
the
also the
kicker.
actor, right?
Yep, he's starring in it. So why is this important? What do you think this cost to make? Not more than probably 500,000 because it's all done in a claustrophobic
Yeah,
space, which is smart
absolutely.
use of resources. And number three, number two, like this is a movie about something that hasn't been done in a long time, like
Right.
this weird indie horror. Now what everyone is saying, I've been following this quite closely, is Iron Lung good? Everyone has said it's pretty much like a 7 or 8 out of 10,
Hmm.
but they're like, let's go the little guy.
But that's
And
his
then
first movie.
he made
And
$20
he
million
already
dollars in the
yeah,
box office.
and he already made it. So it's such a big win and such a start of his if he's going to continue there. Like imagine what he can do like 5 years from now. So
Well, Andre, guess
all right,
what?
that's a immediate
There's a
like an
part of the
amazing example.
story that people are missing, Andre.
Hmm.
Markiplier has done this already on YouTube.
Mm.
So Markiplier Decide Your Adventure. He made the first videos, Markiplier in Space.
Mm. I
This
didn't know
is
that.
cinema quality. And you have a choose your own adventure. So when you end this video,
Hmm.
you have a choice to make. You go, yeah,
Oh, what to do next?
yeah. And it's like 2 hours of content.
Right,
Everyone was like, oh my God, this is amazing. He probably lost money on this, but he made like a lot of views.
right,
Hope
right,
we
right.
don't get copyrighted here. Let me
Hmm.
take this off. But what are we trying to say here, guys? It can be done, but only if you choose where to shoot. If you try with your
Absolutely.
little water gun to shoot at Goliath, you're screwed. But if you bring like a stone and a good thing, then you can take more shots. And I think,
Yeah.
Andre, you said like make 3 games over 2 years. Well, yeah, because if you make one game over 2 years and it's shit, I'm so sorry, but let's prepare for the fact that you might need a job, and that's not a good story.
And don't get me wrong, you will learn a lot from that 2 years experience making a game, a lot. But maybe if you were to go with a smaller scope, you will learn something from the first one, and then the next one will be better, bigger,
Thumbnails will be
different.
better, marketing will
Absolutely,
be better,
yeah, yeah,
description will be better.
yeah. So that is definitely the advice that I think it applies to many things. Even like again, so our own story is like that. We started forklifting exactly the same way. We started with like just allowing ourselves to bring the marketing budgets to the table and getting a really modest revenue share, and then now we can afford to back the like provide funding and get a different revenue structure going on. But yeah, it's that. Start small. Even podcast, actually, you just mentioned podcast. We are starting one at forklift.
Oh yeah,
We shoot it.
nice.
We haven't really published anything yet. We recorded one episode. It's gonna come out in a couple of next weeks, I
Is it
think.
video, Andre? Do you have video or is it audio only?
It's gonna be video, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
YouTube
Your
SEO for gaming podcasts.
Mhm.
Very good idea.
Yeah. It's just we realized that I do in my job. There's two things that I enjoy the most. I do like games. Like my job is like I have to play games all the day. So
Oh
this
no.
is amazing. And then the other thing, I enjoy talking with developers. Like I honestly, this is best like highlight of my day when we have a. So I'm gonna have a scouting call with one of the teams in like 2 hours. That's gonna be definitely the highlight of my day. To talk to them, learn about the game, ask them questions, see what even if it's not a fit for us. I'm just curious about learning about that and maybe working with on the other game. But
Oh,
and I
question. Are
realized
you gonna
I want to do
record
more of
those
this.
calls?
Sorry.
Are you gonna record those calls?
No, what I'm doing is that the podcast is going to be called Who Made That? And this is the podcast about games and their creators. So I really want to focus on the indies that we work with. And again, being myself in that position, I think the intersection of your work when you work in a game and your life is you almost cannot distinguish between the two. So I really want to see speaking with every indie developer, not only learn about their process and how they made the game, what was important, what
Is
they
this
learned
only
from
games
this.
that shipped?
Uh, right now, mostly yes, but maybe not. Maybe we can
Can I
do
give you an
more stuff.
idea?
Yeah, sure. I would love to.
I really have you could really. I was going to say you could really do something, but no. Realizing I have a similar channel
Hmm.
which are doing something. They just started a new series, and honestly, you could steal it. And the businessman in me, it also becomes a funnel for your business in a very tasteful way.
Right.
If you give me 2 seconds, so Colin and Samir for years just talked about YouTube, right? From the creator side, they didn't get that many views. And I think the reason they didn't get that many views is because they couldn't see the creator. So over the last couple of years, they feature much more the creator.
Right.
Now, I want to show you the type of episodes they started doing. Did they do it on a new channel? Interesting. Okay, so they did it on a new channel. Let me see if I can find it. Colin and Samir breakdown. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, creator deep. Nope. Here we go. Creator support. I feel like you
Interesting.
could do indie support, bro. It's so good. Watch
Mm.
this. So all they do is that someone comes and they review the channel and explain you should maybe do this, maybe do that. But guess what? They do it in person. It's really cool. So picture
Right.
this. You're doing a scouting call. You're already
Right.
putting all that effort. This is what you could do. You have an application form, which probably they have, and say, hey, you will qualify for a very free, an hour-long feedback. The only cost is we have permission to post this.
Right.
If you did that every week, not only is that amazing content and a great funnel for your kind of publishing services, it's also something you're already doing. So you don't have to think. And the reason I can keep my podcast going is at the end of our podcast, I want to say, hey, Andre, who's the smartest person you know? You give me 3 people, I never have to look for a guest again.
Right.
This can be a very similar thing because you already have something that helps you. And the final thing to end here, the reason I can afford to do this podcast, that doesn't cost me more than 1,000 or 1,500 a month, right? But the reason I can afford it is I bring people on who A, could maybe come to my mixers, or B, know someone who I could sell my marketing services to.
Right.
And I'm very upfront about it.
Yep.
Now, to make this hit home, my first guest referred me my first ghostwriting client. And if that
Mm.
person didn't do that, Thomas Lemay, we're going to see him in Barcelona next week. You might know him. He's very big in Barca. Yeah, he's the reason I could pay for the editor, right? And I didn't expect that when I interviewed him. I just
Hmm.
said at the end of my conversation, I said, who would benefit from a conversation with me? He told me a few names. I spoke
Right.
to them, and that was my first client. And I think if you do that kind of model here, where you're doing the calls anyway, they're helpful. Like it will make your life so easy. There's no prep involved. You just show up, and
That
then
is
boom.
definitely interesting. Yeah. I think I've seen a couple of, we've done something similar. Um, yeah, I've seen a couple of channels that do that. I think there is a better way to do it. So I'd definitely give it a think. Um,
You can have it as an
because for
extra
now, yeah, we
podcast
want to be
type. It
focusing.
doesn't have to be the main thing.
Yeah, I do really like the name indie support though. Maybe that's going to be section or segment, because I think the reason we started podcast is that, yeah, most of it I just enjoyed talking with developers about like the way they do their stuff, and I enjoy this a lot. And we just want to show more of our DNA, how we think about things, but also because I think there's a lot to learn from how indies structure their lives in order to be able to create games, because
Yeah.
it's not everyone who has a budget. A lot of these like teams has to start like really bootstrap,
Yeah, I've
do
done a
stuff.
podcast episode with the
Exactly.
Breach Studios. It was
Hmm.
like my fourth episode.
Hmm.
It's indie studio in Barcelona,
Yeah.
and the whole podcast was about how he survived.
Oh, Ferran.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
know him. Yeah.
with Ferran, like the feedback I got was incredible.
Hmm.
And yeah, just to basically, I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
More of that,
That's
please.
so. This is something that I'm looking forward, and yeah, I think looked at your podcast. You had quite a you changed a lot in the way you actually production wise. I think it's in a really great shape, but you started modestly,
Yeah,
and then you went into this mode, which is like a really amazing quality. So yeah, this
appreciate it.
is a lot to learn from you as well.
By the way, you're gonna like this. That was the problem. Wasn't money? It was systems.
Yeah.
Trying to find an editor who can consistently do a style. I will send you my podcast editor SOP.
Hmm.
That was 2 months of so stress. But now that we have two editors that work, I'm like,
Right.
ah. But my entire life was on Loom video saying we cannot
Mm.
put this clip there because it
Mm.
doesn't make the editor the guest doesn't look good. I
Hmm.
don't know what the
Hmm.
episode's about. Like my life was trailers for like good 2 months
Right.
last year. So yeah, it wasn't even cost. It was just I couldn't find an editor who like
Yeah.
got why we are having a podcast. So yeah, trailers is useful, especially for YouTube SEO purposes. Yeah, LinkedIn also helps, but that's why I put a lot of effort into the trailer, and I
Mm.
delay episodes if I don't have a trailer.
You mean the trailer being an opening part that needs to show the highlights? That's
Because if I don't have that, then
Mhm.
this episode will only work, in my opinion,
Mhm.
for people who already know me.
Mhm.
And that way, the podcast won't grow and have
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
flywheel.
yeah.
So
Yeah, this
if
is this is definitely one thing that we learned from your podcast. I liked the way you guys open it. So we're just editing our first episode, and I already
I
gave
can give you
this.
my SOP if you want it. It's very simple.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would love to. Of course, I'm
Yeah.
always happy to learn something new. And yeah, thank you for all the advice.
Yeah, appreciate it, and thank you for joining the show. Where can people reach out? I know you have a busy inbox, but like, if someone listens to this, is like, oh, I need to get a hold of Andre. What's the best way?
Yeah, so they go to forklift.gg, or just drop their pitch to pitches at forklift.gg, or just even to my anywhere like LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm super open about this stuff. And yeah, we do look at many things. And sometimes we just look at this really quickly and say that it's not for us. If you need more feedback, I'm always open to give it when possible. And yeah. Um,
Oh yeah, nice. And where will they find out about the release of this podcast? Should they follow you on LinkedIn for an announcement, or
I would say so. We're going to be reusing the same channel we have for Forklift, which we have all the trailers and devlogs of our videos.
yes,
We
I'll put it in
realized
the
that.
description for everyone.
So yeah, that's gonna be so you can send them there. Right now it's only trailers and devlogs, but if you like the kind of games we publish, you can follow that as well. And from there, yeah, there's gonna be. We decided to use the same channel for the podcast for now, and then see where it goes from there.
Nice. I'm excited to follow and always here. And yeah, looking forward to meet you in Barcelona if you can make it to the mixer.
Hopefully, I might be skiing in Bulgaria. next
Yeah,
week.
you did tell me that. I
But
remember. Sorry.
I'm still too. Yeah, it's still up in the air. But yeah, we'll see.
If
If not,
possible,
you
it would
should
be
come
amazing.
back in the summer or something. And
I
there's
am.
always
I'm
some
doing
cool
an event
stuff.
in June.
Oh, nice. So in June, I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
There's also a really cool indie event in Barcelona. If you want to check out or anybody, check out the indie scene. Actually, one of my favorite indie showcases now in Europe. It's called BCN Game Fest, and it's
Okay.
usually happening in September or October, depending
Yeah,
on
October
the year.
10th this year.
Yeah. So it's done by an amazing team, like really down to the earth indie fans, and yeah, I love that we've always have a booth there. So
Wow. I might come and do a mixer here. I didn't know this
absolutely, we can do
existed.
it together. We always
Yeah,
try
let's
to
do it,
organize
man.
something when we have time. And yeah, honestly, really one of my beloved because it's a really cool mixture of like double A, triple A stuff. There's Larian have their booth always. Some other studios that are
Just for
based
this
here.
year? They're organized, huh? Wow.
Yeah, and I think that might be last year's
Ah,
tickets
that is
still.
last year. Okay, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
but it's gonna be
um,
somewhere in September, October. I think they're going to announce soon in May, March, or April.
nice.
Yeah,
Lovely. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Andre, for your time. And yeah, all the descriptions, all the links to the stuff we talked about is in the description. And if you enjoyed it this far, the reason Andre came on the show is because he saw one of our episodes. So if you enjoyed this episode, send it to your Slack group, send it to your friend. That's how it grows. Thank you so much. And Andre, thanks again.
yeah. Thank you, Harry, for having me. It's a pleasure. A lot of really cool questions. I had a great time.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.